Have you ever wondered why some people grow old with a calm smile on their face, while others grow old feeling angry, disappointed, or deeply unhappy, even when they are surrounded by family? Have you noticed how two people of the same age can live completely different emotional lives, one feeling peaceful and content, the other feeling restless and miserable? Here is a gentle truth many people do not talk about. Old age itself does not make life painful. Certain habits, thoughts, and emotional patterns do. And the good news is this: these patterns can be recognized, softened, and changed. Today's video is not meant to scare you. It is meant to protect you. Because awareness, especially in later years, can save you from unnecessary emotional suffering, and help you age with grace, dignity, and inner peace. As we enter our later years, life naturally slows down. The body does not move the same way. The world changes faster than before. People around us may behave differently than we expect. At this stage of life, emotional health becomes just as important, sometimes even more important, than physical health. Many elderly people do not suffer because of illness or lack of money. They suffer because of unresolved thoughts, emotional resistance, and habits that quietly drain joy from daily life. These habits usually develop slowly. They often feel normal. And that is why they are dangerous. By understanding the types of elderly people who often live unhappy lives, you gain the power to gently choose a better path. This is not about blaming yourself or others. It is about choosing peace, one small realization at a time. Type 1. The elderly person who lives only in the past. One of the most common reasons older people feel unhappy is because their mind is constantly traveling backward. They live in memories rather than in the present moment. At first, this does not seem harmful. After all, the past often holds beautiful moments: youth, strength, success, love, and busy days. But when memories replace the present, they slowly become a source of pain. This type of elderly person often talks about how life used to be. They may say things like, "People had respect in those days. Life had meaning back then." Or, "Nothing feels good anymore." They compare today's life with yesterday's life again and again. They compare their current body to their younger body. They compare today's quiet home to the noise of their children's childhood. They compare modern times with traditions from decades ago. Because of this constant comparison, the present always feels lacking. Even when something good happens today, it feels smaller compared to what once was. For example, they may sit with family members, but their mind is somewhere else, reliving old conversations, old regrets, or old achievements. They may receive love, care, and respect, yet still feel lonely because their heart is grieving a time that has already passed. This creates a silent sadness that others may not understand. The past cannot be relived. And when we try to live there emotionally, the present moment feels empty. This does not mean forgetting your past or disrespecting it. Your memories are valuable. They are proof of a life lived fully. But peace comes when memories are honored, not inhabited. A calmer, happier elderly person learns to say gently, "My past was meaningful, and my past still deserves my attention." They learn to find small joys in today: a cup of warm tea, a quiet morning, a familiar voice, or simply the comfort of breathing calmly. Living in the present does not erase the past. It allows you to rest. And rest is one of the greatest gifts in old age. Before we move on, take a quiet moment to reflect on this. Living in the past can gently steal today's peace, but it is not the only habit that creates emotional pain in old age. There is another pattern that quietly increases frustration and stress. One that comes from resisting the natural changes of life. Let us now talk about the second type of elderly person who often feels unhappy. Type 2, the elderly person who refuses to accept change. Another type of elderly person who often lives with constant frustration is someone who refuses to accept that life naturally changes with age. They fight reality instead of flowing with it. They resist physical changes. They resist emotional changes. They resist social and family changes. They often feel angry that their body is slower. They feel upset that their energy is lower. They feel offended when younger people live differently than they did. This resistance creates daily stress. For example, they may feel ashamed to use glasses, a walking stick, or hearing aids, because these things make them feel old. They may refuse to adjust routines, even when those adjustments would make life easier and safer. Deep inside, this refusal comes from fear of losing control, fear of losing independence, and fear of being seen as weak. But change does not mean weakness, it means transition. Every stage of life has its own rhythm. When an elderly person refuses to accept change, they spend a lot of emotional energy fighting what cannot be changed. This leads to anger, bitterness, and exhaustion. On the other hand, acceptance brings relief. Acceptance does not mean giving up on life. It means adapting wisely. A peaceful elderly person learns to say, "My life is different now, and that is okay." They learn to choose comfort over pride. They choose safety over stubbornness. They choose peace over resistance. With acceptance, daily life becomes lighter, the heart rests, the mind relaxes, and aging feels less like a loss and more like a gentle transition. Before we move on, I want to ask you a gentle and honest question. Do you ever find yourself thinking too much about the past? Or feeling frustrated with the changes that come with age? If any part of this feels familiar, you are not alone. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this message is helping you reflect and feel understood, please like, share, and subscribe to the Wisdom Vault. Also, make sure you watch this video till the end, because the remaining points are just as important, and may protect your emotional and physical well-being. Now that we have understood how living in the past and resisting change can create emotional pain, let us move to another habit that silently makes old age heavier than it needs to be. This next type may seem harmless at first, but over time it slowly drains joy from everyday life. Let us talk about the elderly person who constantly complains. Type 30. The elderly person who constantly complains about everything. Another very common reason why some elderly people feel unhappy is not their situation, but their habit of constant complaining. This type of person does not complain once in a while. Complaining becomes their daily language. They complain about their health, even on days when nothing serious is wrong. They complain about family, even when family is present and supportive. They complain about the weather, society, money, food, noise, silence, and almost everything else. At first, complaining feels like relief. It feels like letting emotions out, but over time, it quietly changes the mind. When a person complains every day, the brain slowly learns to look only for problems. Small discomforts start feeling huge. Minor issues feel unbearable. Because of this, happiness becomes harder to notice. People around them also feel the emotional weight. Family members may still care deeply, but they may start limiting conversations because every interaction feels heavy. This can lead to loneliness, which then creates even more complaints. It becomes a painful cycle. It is important to understand something gentle here. Pain is real. Aging comes with physical and emotional challenges. But suffering increases when pain is repeated again and again through negative thoughts and words. A peaceful alternative is not pretending that everything is perfect. It is learning balance. For example, instead of saying, "Nothing is good anymore, my whole body is useless," one can gently say, "Some days are difficult, but today I am still here, and that matters." Gratitude does not remove pain, but it softens the heart, and a softened heart feels lighter, even in old age. Complaining, as we have seen, does not only affect the mind, it also affects relationships. When negativity becomes constant, people slowly pull away, sometimes without realizing it. This leads us to the next type of elderly person, someone who feels deeply lonely, even when they are not physically alone. Let us now talk about emotional isolation in old age. Type 4. The elderly person who slowly becomes emotionally isolated. Some elderly people live with family but still feel deeply alone. Others live alone and slowly disconnect from the world. This emotional isolation usually does not happen suddenly. It happens quietly. They stop sharing their thoughts because they feel no one understands them. They stop expressing feelings because they do not want to be a burden. They stop reaching out because they assume no one has time for them. Over time, silence grows. This silence is not peaceful silence. It is heavy silence. Humans are emotional beings at every age. Even in old age, the heart needs to be heard, seen, and felt. Without emotional connection, sadness grows quietly, anxiety increases, sleep becomes disturbed, health can also suffer. This type of elderly person may say, "I don't need anyone." But deep inside, the heart still longs for connection. A happier old age does not require many people. It requires meaningful connection. One honest conversation can change the mood of an entire day. A phone call, a shared meal, a kind message, or a few minutes of listening can bring warmth back into the heart. Opening up is not weakness. It is courage. And connection is not dependence. It is nourishment for the soul. Emotional isolation often creates another quiet pain. When connections fade and conversations become fewer, a person may begin to question their own value. This brings us to the next type of elderly person. Someone who feels life has lost its purpose. Let us gently explore why this feeling is so common and how it can be healed. Type 5. The elderly person who feels life has no purpose anymore. One of the deepest emotional pains in old age is feeling useless. This often begins after retirement or when physical strength decreases. Work ends. Responsibilities reduce. People stop asking for advice as often. Slowly, a thought enters the mind: I am no longer needed. This belief is extremely heavy. When a person feels useless, even comfortable days feel empty. Time passes slowly, motivation disappears. But purpose does not end with age, it only changes shape. Purpose is not only about earning money or being physically strong. Purpose is about meaning. An elderly person who listens patiently carries purpose. Someone who shares life lessons carries purpose. Someone who prays, reflects, or offers emotional support carries purpose. Even caring for plants, animals, or small routines gives life meaning. Purpose is not about productivity. It is about presence. When an elderly person realizes, my existence itself has value, life feels lighter. And when life has meaning, even quiet days feel peaceful. Type 6. The elderly person who holds on to anger, resentment, and old wounds. The final and most painful type of miserable old age is carrying unresolved anger. This person holds on to past hurts for decades. Arguments from years ago still feel fresh. Betrayals are replayed again and again. They may say, I will never forgive, thinking it gives them strength. But anger does not punish others, it punishes the one who carries it. Long-term anger increases stress. It disturbs sleep. It affects the heart and mind. Most importantly, it steals peace. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It does not mean approving wrongdoing. It means choosing peace over pain. Letting go is not for the other person. It is a gift you give yourself. A peaceful elderly person learns to say, I cannot change the past, but I can protect my peace today. When anger is released, the heart feels lighter, breathing becomes calmer, life feels less heavy. And that calm is priceless in old age. Today we talked about 6 types of elderly people who often live unhappy lives, not because of age, but because of emotional habits. Some live only in the past. Some resist every change, some complain constantly, some isolate themselves emotionally, some feel they have no purpose. And some carry anger for too long. The beautiful truth is this: none of these patterns are permanent. At any age, awareness can bring change. At any age, peace can be chosen. Old age is not the end of joy. It is a quieter chapter that invites reflection, acceptance, and inner strength. If this video helped you reflect on your own life, please remember this. You are not broken. And you are not alone. Every day you wake up is another chance to choose peace over pain. If you found comfort or clarity in this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the Wisdom Vault. Your support helps us create more calm, thoughtful, and healing content for seniors around the world. Thank you for spending this time with us. May your heart feel lighter, your mind feel calmer, and your days be filled with quiet dignity and peace.